Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, I am 25M and my family cut contact with me 5 years ago after a fight with my brother. Now, they want me to come back, but I'm having doubts about it. My family pretty much cut all ties with me at the end of 2015. Things had been a bit turbulent for a while, but when I went over to my parents' house for Christmas in 2015, I got very drunk one night and got into an argument with my younger brother, which ended up turning physical. I was 19 at the time, he would have been 15, and he came out of it pretty badly. Without going into massive detail, he had said something which struck a nerve. I won't say what because it's quite personal and not really relevant here, and I ended up injuring him quite badly. There was a question of potentially involving the police, but nothing ever happened in regards to that. In the end, they all just told me they wanted nothing to do with me anymore, which is fair enough. I was completely in the wrong and they were absolutely right to want to cut me off. I'm not complaining about that in the slightest. I had already moved out by that stage, so it wasn't a case of kicking me out, it was more just telling me to never come back. Again, I can't blame them for this at all and would be surprised if you could either. This post isn't about me complaining about being cut off or pretending that I didn't deserve it, because I did, and I'm not trying to play the victim here. I genuinely regret what I did and have spent time trying to self-improve in the wake of it. It was quite difficult for me to come to terms with this for the first year or so afterwards. The only person in my family I had any contact with was my mum. We never really spoke in depth, just small updates, wishing each other happy birthday and things like that. Honestly though, after that first year, things have gotten so much better for me. I stopped drinking, which was the root of a lot of my problems. I got my head down and ended up doing very well at uni. I've now got a job that I love and I've been with my girlfriend for the best part of 4 years and things are absolutely great. To be brutally honest, I don't miss my family. My relationship with them hadn't been great for a while before the fight, and as far as I was concerned, I didn't miss them and they didn't miss me, and being on a non-contact basis with all of them apart from occasional contact with my mum was for the better. However, over the last few months, my mum began messaging me much more frequently and asking more personal questions about my life, my work, my relationship, etc. I thought it was just boredom on her part, but she maintained it for a while and began to introduce the idea of me coming back to visit her at some point, which I always shrugged off. She started to persist with it, and then yesterday it all came to a head when she added me to a WhatsApp group chat with the rest of the family. I was then told how they had all come to a family decision that 5 years was enough, that my brother had found it in his heart to forgive me for what happened, and that they wanted me to come over at some point to catch up on lost time. These are all quotes from what they sent me. I didn't say much, I just said I wanted time to think. I'm quite torn on this now. Part of me feels like I am obliged to go along with it. They cut contact with me because of my own actions, and if my brother's forgiven me and wants to re-establish contact with me, then it's my duty to do so. On the other hand, I feel like since contact was cut, my life improved a lot. My relationship with them had been on a downward slope for a fair bit of time beforehand, and I just haven't found myself missing any of it. That's why I'm asking for advice. Would you say that I'm obliged to go and re-establish contact because it was my fault that contact was cut, or do you think it would be acceptable for me not to do so? User The Last Basilope said, personally, I feel like it would be worth at least a few meetups to see how things go. You're a different person now than you were then, and they're likely different people now too. You know you don't need them in your life, but you may find that being around them enhances your life in some way. Or you may find that being around them brings only negative feelings. Just because you give it a try doesn't mean you have to keep them in your life if you don't want to. In my opinion, if you don't, you'll always have a nagging what if feeling. Under this comment, OP said, that's been one of my main thoughts. I don't want to regret not doing it in 5 or 10 years, just because I don't want to know. I've enjoyed having conversations with my mom, but I've never really seen eye to eye with the others. It's a difficult one. User Good Amoeba 5299 said, before the fight, in what ways was your relationship with your family rocky? Not that you have to go into detail or anything, of course. I ask because it sounds like some of their actions or behaviors leading up to the fight weren't of the best nature either. Have they accepted responsibility for their roles in what happened and apologized? Or from their perspective, is this all 100% on you and you're the villain that they are graciously providing another chance to? Also, kudos for pulling yourself out of a bad situation. I know that that's extremely difficult to do. OP said the following in response to this comment: "They were always quite overbearing when I was younger. You could say overprotective or repressive depending on how you looked at it. By the time I was about 15 or 16, they couldn't really stop me from doing things anymore, and I started doing things that went against their values, which caused friction, especially between me and my father. So, for example, they were strong believers in no sex before marriage. Then I got caught with a girl when I was 16, and he barely spoke to me for about a month. They do probably see it as a gracious another chance. That's the impression I get from them, at least." User RMM035 said, "You're not obligated to re-establish contact with them, but also consider the fact that the last time you had anything to do with them, you were still a child. Teen years are always rocky, obviously more for you than most, but you're not a kid anymore. That doesn't mean you need to rebuild relationships, just that any relationships you do build will be completely different. You also have the option of pulling back at any point. You could try meeting up and seeing how it goes. You could maybe only see them a few times a year. It's not an all or nothing situation. You can work out how involved you'd like to be with them, which includes maintaining the status quo." User Loki said, "As someone who also quit drinking and has a troubled family, I can understand where you're coming from. You're owning your previous actions, but now that things are good, you're wary of bringing in what was obviously a difficult dynamic for you, and you fear this could cause you to backslide. I don't have an answer for you, only some things to consider. Now your parents are fully grown and still the people you knew. Little about them will have changed. Will they enrich your life? Were there any troubling dynamics? Did they build you up or tear you down? Were they fair? Was there a golden child or scapegoat dynamic at play? Even if things were screwed up, that doesn't mean you can't have a relationship because you have changed. You have grown and learned, and hopefully if there was any troubling treatment, you've evolved enough that pressing your old buttons no longer works. Only you can decide if your parents will be a positive or a negative in your life. Your brother, on the other hand, well, he's likely a totally different person because he was only 15. He's still only about 20, and you still grow and change a lot in your 20s, so he's kind of an unknown. If you had things in common before, fandoms, hobbies, that kind of thing, you probably still do, but who he is now is anyone's guess. If I were you, I think I would start by asking for a coffee date with my brother on my own. Somewhere public so he feels safe and it can last for one cup, or all afternoon if you're getting on well. This is the relationship that needs the most healing. You can apologize, explain your actions, and let him know that explaining them doesn't excuse them. Hopefully, you can both get real about what the issues were that caused this and come to some kind of accord. He's also likely to know why your parents want a reconciliation. Perhaps there are things they haven't told you, like ill health. And if he wants a reconciliation, he may not, in which case I suggest you respect his choice and bow out. Let him know your door is open, but the ball is in his court if he ever feels ready. I really feel like your brother is key to this, and how it progresses depends very much on him. I think if things go well, I'd want a few meetings with my brother before bringing my parents back into the mix. If things don't go well with your brother, you can of course have a separate relationship with only your parents. But this will mean they have to choose between you at every family event. Who gets invited to the events, you or your brother? I'd be inclined to bow out of this kind of dynamic, especially as you haven't had a relationship in so long, but maybe you're happy just having dinner with your folks a few times a year. Just some things to mull over and help you decide how to proceed. Under this comment, OP said, "I apologized to my brother over the phone today. He sounded fairly upbeat and it all went well, which I'm happy about. I don't think relationships will ever be back to normal. It's been 5 years, I've moved on and built things for myself. I'm not sure I want them to be back to what normal was then. For now, I'm reluctant to arrange any face-to-face meetings. I want to talk things out thoroughly and give it time before I make a decision. Thank you for sharing this perspective. I'm glad to hear you've been able to stop drinking as well." About 4 days later, OP gave us an update. I wasn't initially planning on doing an update for that post, but the number of responses I got from it was absolutely unprecedented, so I decided it was right of me to do one. I didn't respond to every single comment, but I did read all of them. I greatly appreciate everyone's input, whether it was positive or negative, or telling me to go back or cut contact completely. It was really good to get different takes on the situation because at the time it was a lot to take in and still is in a way. I'll start off by saying that soon after that post was written, I phoned my brother. We talked for a few minutes about how things were going, and then I apologized to him for what happened back in 2015. He didn't specifically say he forgave me, but he was amicable and said that he appreciated me doing it. I'm glad I did it. I know 5.5 years is a long time to have gone without doing it, but that was the first vocal conversation I'd had with him since the family cut contact. He told me that the whole incident hadn't left him with any lasting mental or physical damage, and while I have no way of knowing whether that's completely true, I was glad to hear it. I don't want to make it about myself, but it did also feel like a bit of a weight lifted off my shoulders. In terms of the actual resumption of contact, it won't be happening for now. After a few days of talking to the family as a collective in the group chat, which I have now left, as well as some individual conversations with different members, I told them that I was happy to increase contact with them through messaging, but that as things stand, I didn't think resuming face-to-face contact would be right and that I wasn't going to do it. As I stated in the initial post, I was already having severe doubts about it, and the conversations I had with them pretty much made my mind up for me. I'll list a few examples of it here. Much of the discussion I had with the family was done through a group chat in which I, 25M, was added by my mum, 45F. This group chat also contained my dad, 54M, and my two brothers, 20M and 14M. The group chat was titled Reunion, so it was pretty obvious what their intentions were. The initial language used by them when I was added bothered me. I gave some examples of it in the original post. Things like my mum saying my brother had found it in his heart to forgive me, and them coming to a family decision that 5 years was enough. It made it seem like there was no chance of it being a normal family relationship at all, and that I would always be indebted and subservient to them in some form for that. As I said, I had no issue with being cut off and felt they were pretty justified in doing so, but that doesn't mean I would be prepared to come back and be in a constant state of owing one and likely being made to feel pressured to do things for them because they were oh so kind to find it in their hearts to let me back. This sort of language continued throughout my being in that group chat. Some more examples were being told that I had lots of work to do if we wanted a normal relationship. Notice that they didn't say we. And I was also compared to the prodigal son multiple times by my very religious parents, which just made me think they were doing it for their own spiritual reasons rather than actually being interested in having me back as part of the family. The final nail in the coffin was that when I specifically expressed doubts about it, my dad said, "After all you did to us as a family, we've decided to let you back in," and then pretty much went on to tell me that I should be biting their hands off for the chance to make amends and that I was ungrateful for not doing so. I told them I was backing out of it pretty soon after that. A few of the replies to my original post asked if any of them needed an organ. I initially brushed this off as a joke, but after some of the conversations I had, I genuinely think it's possible that that's true. My girlfriend, 24F, is also a big reason why I was initially having doubts, and a couple of things that were said by my dad completely reinforced these. I 100% know that he would dislike her, not through any fault of her own, but mainly because he has some very old-fashioned views on women, and he's also quite racist. She is only half white, and when I was younger, my dad made it pretty clear that he didn't want me to date outside of my race. In the group chat, he described her as my exotic girlfriend and made a couple of very stereotypical assumptions about her based on her race, which made it pretty clear to me that he still found it wrong and abnormal of me to be with a girl who isn't completely white. If I resumed a somewhat normal father-son relationship with him, I'm almost certain that he'd try to interfere in some way and would, at the very least, encourage me to end things with her. It's not like I've only been seeing her for a month either. We've been together for almost 4 years and have discussed marriage, so she absolutely takes priority over the family. Those are the main reasons behind me choosing not to go down the route of face-to-face contact with the family. There are a few other things too, such as the fact that they seemed awfully interested in grandchildren who didn't even exist, and also that I suspected that it was all my mom's doing and that the rest of the family wasn't that interested. I'm fairly sure she was feeding the others lines. My 14-year-old brother was typing an awful lot like my 45-year-old mum. Let's put it that way. With all these factors combined with my initial doubts about it, I made up my mind that I wasn't going to resume face-to-face contact. I messaged them telling them that while I did appreciate them trying to get me to do so, I just had too many doubts about it to go and start meeting with them face-to-face or going to their house. I did say that they all had my number now and were free to text me at any point if they wanted to talk, and then left the group chat. I know they've all read it because they've all been online since I sent it, but I haven't had a single message from any of them. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure if I ever will. And yet I can't really say I feel that sad about it. I'm glad I've apologized to my brother, and if that's the end of all contact with them, then so be it. It is what it is. My mom was contacting me every day in the months leading up to her deciding I should start seeing the family again. Now it's beginning to seem to me that she was doing so because she wanted me to return to them on my hands and knees, groveling and begging for forgiveness. Things certainly began to turn a bit sour when it became clear that I wasn't going to do that. Perhaps she sees it as the final betrayal and wants nothing more to do with me now. At the end of the day, I'm never going to pretend that they were for a second wrong for cutting contact with me. They did it to protect their 15-year-old son, and I completely understand it. Ultimately, though, I grew up, ended my addiction, and built a life for myself off the back of it without them involved in my life. It's very likely that they still had this image of the 19-year-old who turned completely white when he was told they wanted nothing more to do with him, but that really isn't me anymore. When they initially kicked me out, I felt like I needed them even though we didn't have the greatest relationship. 5 years on from that, I certainly don't think I do anymore. I apologize to anyone who read the initial post and wanted me to go and see them in person again, but this is just how things have turned out. Once again, thank you to everyone for offering support and advice, and I hope that anyone reading this who has their own issues with family and estrangement is able to navigate them and build a relationship back if they so wish. User Numerous Asparagus 87 said, I think you handled the situation better than many would. You owned up to your mistake and apologized, but kept the healthy boundaries you need to continue to do well in life. It sounds like you have a strong support system with your girlfriend and a healthier way of handling life. Best wishes to you. Under this comment, OP said, yeah, I'm honestly pretty happy with how things have panned out. Some people might think that's weird, but I like the way my life is right now, and I didn't want to risk bringing that down. Best wishes to you as well, my friend. User star 1014 flight said, I don't condone what you did to your brother, but honestly, it's good that you're away from your family right now. They're clearly not reconciling out of genuine want, but to probably save face or try and save you from yourself. They probably harbor some degree of guilt over cutting off their 19-year-old son. But with how your life is going and your relationship with your girlfriend and their racist views, it's best you stay away and just continue your life separately. You made the right choice. OP said, thank you. Yeah, I'll never condone it either. It was completely out of order. There are a lot of reasons why I think they might have tried to resume contact with me. It could be spiritual, it could be that their friends told them to, but whatever it is, I don't think it's that they want to have a relationship with me. I think it was the right choice in the end as well. User Mayreem said, in your first post, I got the impression that not only was your family severely toxic, but your drinking problem was partly fueled by them. I'm not surprised you didn't go to see them if I could pick that up out of a few paragraphs. Also, as a biracial woman, it wouldn't be fair to subject your girlfriend to your very racist, sexist dad when she is so deep in your relationship with no prior understanding that she would have to interact with him. I'm happy to hear you thinking of her in all of this mess too. One more thing, good for you on getting your closure, but ultimately this situation seems just as toxic as before. Any recovering addict could end up relapsing because of this. Not a risk I would take if I were you. Regardless, this is your business and you made the best decision for you, and that's all that matters. This next post was made in the Surviving Infidelity subreddit by a user named Mandalarachu. The series of posts focuses on OP's wife cheating on him for about 9 years. The first post is titled, Best Ways to Occupy Mind. It's been 11 days since I found out my wife of 13 years has been cheating on me for the last 8 of them with multiple different people throughout. I'm struggling to find ways to occupy my mind so I don't start thinking about all of it and having full-blown panic attacks. Other times, I come across little bits of evidence and then spiral all the way down the rabbit hole of searching for more evidence, none of which makes me feel any better. Like today, while looking for a toy for my son, I came across a receipt for Victoria's Secret for a purchase made just 5 days ago, the same day I came back from working out of town after confronting her. I rarely work out of town and was only gone for 4 days. I asked if she planned on coming home that night or planning to sleep in our bed as I would find other accommodations. She said she would find somewhere else to stay for the night and was going to respect my time with the kids and allow me to have a good night. She must have also had a good night as she purchased crotchless lingerie for that evening according to the receipt. Then I begin to spiral down again, seeing if I can discover who she was with, where did she go, etc. Does it ever end? Will I ever stop trying to find answers? I want to stop. It never makes me feel better, but I keep looking. How can I get myself to stop? User Full Cull said, "I'm sorry, OP. I know your pain well. Are you reconciling? If not, you don't need any more evidence. You have enough. Just lawyer up for assets and child custody and start detaching from your wife. Look up the 180 and gray rocking so you don't get dragged into any pointless emotional discussions where she will likely blame you for everything, and you'll end up feeling worse. To be honest, serial cheaters rarely change. They are broken monsters. You will probably be better off moving straight to divorce to avoid more lies and pain. That's a bitter pill, I know." User Rivers11 said, "I'm so sorry you were abused like this. It's friggin' hell." One way that helped keep my mind occupied and helped with the intrusive thoughts was to listen to audiobooks or podcasts while playing mindless games on my iPad. I totally recommend Chump Lady's book, Leave a Cheater, Gain a Life. The audiobook saved my life. Listen to it over and over again. She also has an online blog and a podcast. Fuckface is an evil sociopath. I found lovefraud.com really helpful when I was trying to understand what the hell he did to me. She has a lot of excellent information about cluster B personality disorders on her website, including some great videos. Seeing a therapist also helped me immensely to process the betrayal trauma I had. I had to do EMDR because it was so bad. It helped a lot. Going for walks, especially in nature, was so helpful. Going to the gym or doing any physical exercise will have a positive impact on your healing. Do fun stuff with the kids. Go out with friends and family. Make new memories to push out the old horrible ones. Hopefully these help you, sending you peace and joy. The second post is titled, "Having a Bad Day Today." It's been 3 weeks since D-Day and I'm struggling today. I can't stop thinking about it all. I can't stop thinking about how to find more evidence to understand my betrayal. I just can't let it go today. Yesterday was fine. I have just been angry at my STBX, so it's been easy to handle it. But today, my blood pressure has spiked, my pulse hasn't come down from 110 for hours, and I am so full of anxiety. I've tried playing dumb, mind-consuming games. I've tried doing chores. I pressure washed my entire back patio. I've cleaned my house. I've tried reading. Nothing seems to work today. Guess it's just going to be one of those days. Edited to add, I've used this shitty feeling to finally push me over the edge and pay the lawyer. The STBX has now been informed by my lawyer. I still don't feel any better, but I want these bad days to start getting behind me. The third post is titled, "Wife of 13 years was cheating for 9 of them." So I just recently discovered that my wife of 13 years has really never been loyal. I really found this out 2 years ago, but never knew the full extent. The first time I discovered her cheating, I was checking an old cell phone of my wife's to get it ready to give to my oldest kid. There was an email and password saved in the notes, so I logged in out of curiosity. It was a fake persona my wife created for herself to post ads on Craigslist selling her body for money. She was 3 months pregnant with my second child at this time. She has numerous chats with at least 15 to 20 guys looking to hook up with her. Nudes sent back and forth, pictures of things my wife would never send me. And it went on for 3 months. I confronted her and she claimed she didn't remember any of it as she had a pregnancy brain. Since it had all happened 7 years before I discovered it, like an idiot, I tried to let it go. We tried a counseling appointment but only did one. Our relationship was rocky at this point. Just 3 weeks ago, I learned all the rest of it. An ex-friend of hers reached out to me to confess everything. My wife has had numerous affairs behind my back. The ex-friend stopped being friends because she didn't want to cover for my wife anymore. So far, I learned that around 2019, she had met a guy at a weed dispensary and became infatuated with him. She was seeing him for months before he finally told her no because he found out about me. Apparently, they physically got together once after this. I confirmed all of this upon finding my wife's journal. She wrote all about him in it. I have his full name. Then I also learned that she was having an affair with an ex-coworker of hers. Somewhere around 6 to 8 months that one lasted. Finally, she has been seeing this guy she met on Bumble for 2 years, has gone on overnight camping and hiking trips with him and used the cover of her now ex-friend. I confronted her on all of this and she denied everything. When shown the evidence, she claims it was forged evidence. Then after a while admits to half of it, then denies it all again. I handed her divorce papers this past Monday. Edit. Since I have gotten a few messages about this now, no, I will not be sharing my wife's nude pregnant photos. What the hell is wrong with you people? User oldlength7525 said, impressive resolve. Good for you. I found out my wife had been having an on and off affair with her boss for 9 years. Trickle truth came out very slowly thanks to forensics. She said she was sorry, swore she'd never do it again, said that he pressured her, told me she loved me, and we had 2 young kids. So after moving out, I moved back in, and we had some good years until I caught her dating other men. That was the end. I don't regret giving her another chance. It gave me more time with my kids, and we did have some good years. And I could hold my head up and tell my children that I did more than any other man would have done to keep our family together. But the price was steep. I still haven't recovered. Good luck. User switch to aux said, ouch. All I can say is welcome to the club you never asked to join. Things you can control in the short term. Diet, what you eat, and how much you eat will be important. Exercise, look up HIIT training, or at least go for a couple-mile walk every day. Try yoga. It's really good for you. Booze, best avoided. Listen to your attorney. Think about buying a VR and keeping it on your person at all times when she's around. There is a real risk she'll try to frame you with false assault charges. Be very careful about handoffs with kids. The next post is titled, Had to Call the Cops Tonight. Slight update to my story. Look in my post history if you want. She came home from a doctor appointment with the kids today and immediately started bitching about how I'm not paying my fair share while in the same breath saying how she won't be paying her share of the mortgage. I gray rocked as best as I could, but after 10 solid minutes of her yelling and berating me in front of our children no less, I finally snapped. I yelled as loud as I could, telling her to shut up. Well, that set her right off. I had suddenly become such a terrifying monster. She lost her absolute shit, freaking out, trying to drag the kids out of the house against their will. I blocked her from taking them anywhere. She would not be leaving and driving in that state with my kids, so I phoned the cops. I'm currently writing this from the comfort of my own couch. I just put the kids in bed and she went to stay with her sister for the night. The cops thought that was for the best. I think she has finally realized the gravity of the situation. Her free ride from me is over. Her deadline to respond to my lawyer was last Monday, and I had to threaten her with a court order for her to respond. She will try and drag this on. I'm just so done with it all, but I get to sleep in my own bed tonight and not in the basement. User Grandma's Villa said, she can't stop the time, so you will soon be free of her. It was smart to call the cops and kick her out of the house. She knows her time is up and she can't hide anymore. You are doing everything right, so keep going. Focus on yourself and your children and make sure to tell your children every day that you love them and you will be there for them always. They feel the trauma just like you, so don't forget to comfort them and spend quality time together. You are a father, so be strong for your children and take good care of your physical and mental health. Time will heal, so be patient and stay positive. Good luck. User Christ of Cage said, I feel like we were married to the same woman. BPD is a nightmare, especially when they start using it as an excuse to act how they want. Hang in there, it gets better. And I promise when she's gone, it feels like life has given you a second chance to be a better person. Don't let her back. She will confess, she will expect you to rush to her side when she's sick, but don't. The good news is they never wait long to rush into a new relationship, so you won't have to tolerate it for very long. The next post is titled, It Affects So Much of My Life. I know it's way too early for me to start dating again, but I've just been thinking about looking to see what is out there. It's only been over a month since D-Day. The separation has only just begun. But my body has been craving attention lately, not just physical attention, but emotional as well. Just someone to talk to who isn't a family member or friend. I am honestly not even looking for so I thought about opening an account on Tinder or something. Then it dawns on me that I might see my STBX on there. I do know she used one site before. Then the anxiety kicked in, then the start of a panic attack, then me just wanting to curl into a ball in the corner, and it just all went downhill from there. I never even looked at any apps, just thought about it, and that was enough. It's annoying how much of my life has been messed up by her, or just the thought of running into her on a dating app. How far into the future will I be able to use one without worry? I know one day I will be so much better. For now, it just sucks. Not long after, OP gave us another update. This weekend was my birthday and also Father's Day. It was also the deadline for my STBX to hand over her financial disclosure to my lawyer. To be honest, it has been one of the worst weekends of my life. To start, I got her financials the day before my birthday. I discovered that she has racked up another $15,000 of debt on her credit cards since last August when I got a second mortgage to help pay off a lot of debt. She was supposed to pay off her credit cards, 5 of them, and then cancel 3. She did not. She canceled only 1. Her total debt is now at $45,000. I never knew it was that bad. So I spent the night before my birthday going through 360 pages of financial records to see what I was actually expected to pay back. Not fun. The day of my birthday was alright. She texted me a happy birthday message, as did her sister. However, her other sister, mother, and father said nothing. I saw her mother when I got home from work as she was watching my children, yet she said absolutely nothing. Didn't even say goodbye when she left. I was very close with the rest of her family, so this was fairly upsetting, but now I know where I stand with them. I didn't expect them to take my side, but I did expect at least a small level of civility. I have known them for over 20 years, and now I'm persona non grata over her actions. Today she texted me Happy Father's Day, and for some reason it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like everything is perfectly fine in our lives. Like she isn't trying to claim back the gift down payment her father gave us to buy our house, which I don't even remember signing, but there goes $20,000. Like she isn't trying to claim our holiday camper her mother gifted me 7 years ago. It was registered in my STBX's name as she already had a plate for a trailer, and it made it easier at the time. Like, she isn't lying on her financials and overvaluing the trailer, undervaluing her truck, and claiming a bunch of other expenses while asking for spousal support. Like, she hasn't stated that she won't be paying her share of the mortgages or utilities as she has credit cards to pay for. My lawyer still states that she has every right to live here while paying nothing into it, so I can't just kick her out. Like she hasn't bought groceries for the house for over a month now. She has pulled some horrendous shit and shredded my mental state to tiny shreds, and just keeps going further. I feel like justice will not be served for me. I can already picture her stupid smug face when I am ordered to give her spousal support and child support, even if we have 50-50 custody. It drives me insane. I'm trying to put on a brave face today, but I'm just highly annoyed. What was supposed to be a great weekend for me has turned into anger and depression while I clean the house because no one else is, instead of enjoying a fun time with my children. User stronger than I think 18 said, "Been there. My divorce took 3 years because he kept missing deadlines and stalling. His attorney ran from mine. It was ridiculous. Oh, and he moved out to be with the AP, so make it make sense. He left in April and also texted Happy Mother's Day, got me flowers and a card. I think it was one of the cruelest things he's done. He dumps me but then tries to be nice. I did nothing for Father's Day. Just know this is war. Hunker down, practice self-care, and I hope you have a great attorney because divorcing a greedy cheater is hell. That said, I promise it will end, eventually." User time ad 6551 said, "I'm kind of in the same spot. I'm only common law and my spouse doesn't have major debts, but I can't kick her out. She's being very difficult and not doing anything around the house. I was going to let her live here and get 50-50 with the kids, but she just continues going out every night while I put the kids to bed and do everything. I told her yesterday I'll just sell the house if she doesn't give me primary custody of the kids and she will be homeless. I have family and she does not, so I'll be fine, but the housing market has skyrocketed and I don't want to lose my cheap mortgage. I really do not understand it. She is just pushing her kids away day by day as they can easily see who is taking care of them. I might just have to write it out and know that when they are adults, they will know what's up." User Fly Ganas K said, "OP, first of all, happy birthday and Father's Day. Second, do not let her get the better of you. She already has everything else, so at least do not let her have your cool and temper too. Yes, she will have many things like she deserves it, but this is how it works, and I know it is sad. Start using the Grey Rock method and do things that would hit her where it counts. Like buy groceries only for you and your kids, clean just part of the house if you have to, and do things like that. May I ask, in the end, is the house yours, hers, or both? And if the house is jointly owned and will be sold and split, what would happen if you stopped paying the mortgage? This is just guessing, like maybe start looking for another place to live 50% of the time with the kids, so you stop paying as she does. What will happen? I wish you the best of luck and that you soon get out of this mess. Under this comment, OP said, I already do all of those things. I only do my own or the kids' laundry. I only cook for myself and the kids. I will do all of the dishes and specifically leave hers out and dirty. I do absolutely zero things for her. The house is in both of our names. If the mortgage defaults, they could eventually take the house. The second mortgage has absurd NSF fees and they would also just take the house. Prices are way too high to try and pay for rent or 3 mortgages. Eventually, we will sell the house and I will have the ability to buy another. Luckily, we bought the house low compared to prices now. They've almost doubled actually, so I will have a semi-decent down payment for my next house. In the next update, OP said, small update on my story. I had made a previous post about dating and how soon was too soon. Well, after only a few weeks, I met someone. However, I was not actively using dating apps or anything. It was a friend of a friend, and we met at said friend's house. We just instantly hit it off. I went full disclosure though, saying I'm still in the middle of a separation. I have 3 kids. I'm really not looking for a relationship or even know what I'm looking for. I'm currently living with the ex. All my red flags were full mast and in the breeze. Turns out, she also just left a relationship from her boyfriend cheating. She was acting as stepmom to his 3 kids, and he took advantage of that. She was not looking for a relationship just yet either. We have gone out for dinner and drinks once, but have talked every day since we met. She has currently left for a short vacation to see her parents back home, but we have plans to meet up again once she is back. We have talked about hypothetical relationships and the boundaries we would set in them. She wouldn't want to become a stepmom again anytime soon, and I wouldn't expect anyone to jump into that role for a while either. There were other healthy boundaries talked about as well. It all seemed too perfect, and that's what kind of frightens me. I am 2 months from D-Day, but I realized that I checked out of that relationship a long time ago, which is maybe why I've moved on so easily. However, am I already smitten with this woman because of the new attention, which is really normal attention with some serious flirtation? Or is it because I have actually found someone I truly am interested in and they in me? She knows my limited free schedule right now and has suggested she can change her schedule to give us more free time on the one real free day I have. Small things like this lead me to believe she might also have some feelings for me, or at least something worth exploring. Now, the STBX can tell that I am much happier lately. She hears the notifications going off on my phone. All those little things I used to notice when she was cheating. For some reason, she seems to be upset by this. Isn't that weird? I guess I'm not allowed to be happy. Either way, I will be taking it very slow with this woman. If this is just me receiving normal attention, I don't want to ruin the friendship from it, so I will keep it in my pants and just see what progresses. As far as my separation is going, the STBX is currently not paying for anything except her credit cards. She is also taking her sweet time sending in documents and just delaying everything for as long as possible. I don't think she realizes that I will be taking back all of her share of the bills that I have been paying for. I think she just sees dollar signs. Soon enough, she will be out of my house. Maybe I don't even keep the house, but I will get to sleep in my own room on a real bed wherever that may be. The most recent update was made just a few days from the time of this recording. Well, 4 months after D-Day, we met with a mediator and resolved everything. Separation agreement is now in place and we can finally start moving on. Outcome, she won. Through all her cheating and lies and excessive spending, she is going to come out ahead. Even though I can prove that her debts were not beneficial for the family, I still owe for them. She took half my pension as well. She stands to come out with almost $70K more than me in the end. It was not my lawyer who failed, it's the way our law works where I live. We are a no-fault province. They don't care what she did to cause the relationship to end. House. It was my intention to buy her out of the house. Unfortunately, that did not happen. It was not a feasible number for me to do that, so we have to sell the house. Which sucks because I really don't want to sell and buy a new house. Not in the market we have. Homes are overpriced, interest rates are terrible, and I won't even get enough for a down payment on a different house. The rental market is also insane and the prices are considerably higher than my mortgage now. Without some kind of windfall, I will never be a homeowner again, at least not on my own. Kids. I at least did get shared custody of 50-50. She did not contest that at all, so there is at least a small win here. As for child support, that is to be determined once we are officially living in separate places. Aftermath. The outcome sucks, but it could have been much, much worse. I went into mediation with a very hopeful attitude and left feeling broken. I had put in extra work going through the financials, all 360 pages, doing proper budgets, correcting her lies, all for nothing. She left the mediation with a big grin on her face, but it's done. I can now really start to move on with my life, however that will look. I know it won't take very long at all for our house to sell, so I won't have to live in the same house as her anymore, and I am greatly looking forward to that. This isn't the update I wanted to post. I wanted a better one, but sometimes the cheaters win. User NoUse1529 said, "Sorry, my ex-wife did the exact same thing. She made out like a bandit during and after the divorce. I hate our court system. She stole my life savings, was going to get 65% of my pension for a 5-year marriage, and got almost my entire paycheck during the divorce and for 2 years of alimony. I know what being hungry feels like now, unfortunately. I wouldn't wish it on anyone." The judge stuck me with all the debt she secretly racked up too. The list goes on, unfortunately. No kids though, so I know exactly how you feel. It's BS. Once again, sorry, rooting for you, it gets better. That I know. They usually get what they really deserve at some point. Mine got the ultimate karma, and the timing was a whoa moment when I found out. But alas, they don't all get what they truly deserve. Under this comment, OP said, "She only asked for half of my pension, which already came to a surprising amount as I have only been contributing to this one for 5 years. I know it will get better for me. And really, I could be worse off than I am. I currently won't owe any spousal support and minimal child support, if any. I paid for my freedom, is how I'm looking at this." User BushyBoy1973 said, "Shitty people will continue to make shitty decisions. Judging from her past actions, that 70K that she came out ahead with will be gone in a year. My ex did that too. I gave her the property and the 2 good cars and didn't fight for the savings she had emptied. She was dead broke in 2 years. OP said the following under this comment, "Less than a year by my guess. She has almost 50K worth of credit card debt, which I wasn't even aware of, so she will be left with 20K roughly, but a clean slate. Her credit score is ruined at this point. The housing market is absurd both for buying and renting. We aren't even in an excessively high see-all area, but that 20K would only pay for 8 months of rent at most. Most rent is at the same price or higher than an average mortgage payment. However, we will both get money from the house once it sells, and most houses in my area are on the market for about a week. It just isn't enough for a decent down payment." User Pretty said, "It sucks, but the good thing is money comes and goes. You're not tied to her anymore. You can find someone worthy of your love, time, and effort. She doesn't even love herself. She may have come out ahead financially right now, but she will screw herself over. You will end up better. The best thing you can do is take away her access to you. Only talk through an app about the kids. Ignore anything else. Block her on social media. It will eat at her when you move on. People like her don't know what happiness is. Your life is going to be so much better now. Hers won't. She will likely continue to put herself in debt that can't be tied to you. She will have no one to save her from that. I know we need money for everything right now, but money really isn't everything. That's all we can hold on to. She may have gotten more money, but she will probably never know what true love feels like. I hope this is helpful somehow."